CRT. The cathode ray tube wasn't just a TV, it was a commitment. These glass behemoths dominated living rooms from the 1930s all the way into the early 2000s. Inside that thick curved glass was something genuinely wild, an electron gun firing beams at phosphor-coated glass thousands of times per second. It's basically a particle accelerator sitting 3 feet from your face while you watched Seinfeld. Here's what nobody tells you about CRTs. They were built like tanks. Drop your modern TV and you're buying a new one. Drop a CRT and, well, you're buying a new floor. These things could survive nuclear war. Some people still have working CRTs in their garage that are older than their children. The picture quality? Honestly, incredible. Colors were rich. Blacks were actually black, and you could view it from any angle without the image turning into a washed-out mess. But there was a price. That satisfying click when you turned it on was accompanied by a blast of static electricity that could attract dust from across the room. The screen had a slight curve that made reflections dance in weird ways. And if you ever put a magnet near one, maybe you had a speaker too close, you'd get these bizarre rainbow splotches that looked like someone spilled tie-dye on reality itself. The real question isn't why CRTs died, it's why they lasted so long. The answer? Because for 70 years, nobody could figure out how to make anything flatter that actually worked. Projection TV. Before flat panels, if you wanted a truly massive screen, you needed a projection TV. 3 CRT projectors hidden inside a massive cabinet would shoot red, green, and blue light at a mirror, bouncing the image onto the front screen. The viewing experience was selective. Sit in the sweet spot and it looked amazing, like a movie theater. Move a few feet to the side and you were watching a faded photograph. These things needed darkness, like vampires need shade. But if you had one in your basement, you were the cool house for Super Bowl parties and movie marathons. Plasma TV. In 1997, Fujitsu released a TV that was flat. Actually flat. Not less bulky flat, genuinely hang it on your wall flat. Plasma technology used thousands of tiny cells filled with gas that would glow when electricity passed through. Each cell was essentially a miniature neon sign. The picture was mesmerizing. Watching a plasma for the first time felt like upgrading from radio to color TV all over again. The colors were vibrant without being cartoonish. The contrast was dramatic. And the viewing angles were perfect. You could watch from anywhere in the room and it looked the same. No more designated good seats. But early plasmas came with a haunting warning. Burn in. Leave a static image on screen too long. A pause DVD menu. A news channel logo, and it could ghost into the screen permanently. People developed weird habits. They'd never pause anything. They'd nervously check for static elements. Some wouldn't let guests touch the remote because what if they pause it? And the price? The first consumer plasmas cost $10,000 to $15,000. Owning one in the early 2000s was like parking a luxury car in your living room. Even when it was off, it was a statement piece. LCD. While plasma ruled the high end, LCD quietly took over the world. The technology had been around since the 1960s. Your calculator used it, but nobody had figured out how to make it big and cheap enough for TVs until the early 2000s. By 2007, LCD sales had overtaken plasma, and the war was basically over. LCDs work on a completely different principle. They don't make their own light. Instead, there's a bright backlight behind the screen, and layers of liquid crystals act like microscopic shutters, twisting to either block light or let it through. It's why they're called transmissive displays. Light transmits through them. This created quirks. Early LCDs had motion blur that made fast action scenes look like everyone was swimming through jello. Black wasn't really black. It was more dark charcoal gray because those crystal shutters could never block 100% of the backlight. And the viewing angles? Sometimes you'd tilt your head slightly and the colors would shift like mood lighting nobody asked for. But here's the thing, the panel type mattered enormously. TN panels were dirt cheap and lightning fast. Great for gaming. But the viewing angles were so bad that the image would literally inverse colors if you looked at it wrong. VA panels offered the best contrast, producing something closer to actual black, but kept those poor viewing angles. IPS panels finally solved the angle problem completely. You could watch from 178 degrees and it looked fine. But the blacks were terrible, making dark scenes look gray and flat. The magic of LCD wasn't perfection. It was accessibility. Suddenly, flat-screen TVs showed up in college dorms, kitchens, even bathrooms. They were light enough that you didn't need a moving crew, cheap enough that they weren't just for wealthy early adopters. LCD made the flat-screen revolution actually happen. LED. LED TVs and LCD TVs are the same thing. Manufacturers swapped fluorescent backlights for LED backlights, then called them LED TVs because it sounded futuristic. But the change mattered. LEDs were smaller and more efficient, making TVs impossibly thin. Some models introduced local dimming, dimming parts of the backlight independently, which dramatically improved contrast. This was also when the size wars began. Walk into an electronics store in 2010 and you'd be assaulted by a wall of 60-inch and 70-inch screens, all playing the same looping footage of waterfalls and exotic animals. 3D TV. 2010 was supposed to be the year 3D changed everything. After Avatar's success, every manufacturer released 3D-enabled TVs that use special glasses to create depth. The problem? Nobody wanted to wear uncomfortable glasses at home. They'd slide down your nose, batteries would die, and you'd need a pair for every person. The content was limited and most conversions looked artificial. By 2015, manufacturers quietly stopped mentioning it. 3D TV is now a historical footnote, a reminder that sometimes the next big thing is just a temporary gimmick. OLED. Then in 2013, LG released something genuinely revolutionary, a large-scale OLED TV. OLED TVs doesn't use a backlight at all. Each individual pixel generates its own light, and if a pixel needs to be black, it just turns off completely. The effect is stunning. True black isn't dark gray that approximates black. It's the complete absence of light. Watching an OLED in a dark room feels like looking through a window into another dimension. The contrast is infinite, colors are vibrant, and some models are so thin they look like sheets of glass. But OLED isn't just one thing. There are two competing technologies. WOLED, made by LG Display, uses white OLED light passed through color filters, similar to how LCDs work, with an extra white subpixel to boost brightness. QD-OLED, made by Samsung Display, uses a blue OLED layer combined with quantum dots to create pure red and green light, eliminating the lossy color filter and achieving higher brightness and more saturated colors. The elephant in the room? Burn-in. Static images, logos, UI elements, news tickers could theoretically wear out pixels unevenly, leaving permanent ghost images. Modern OLEDs have extensive protections, pixel shifting, automatic logo dimming, periodic refresh cycles. For normal use watching varied content, it's mostly a non-issue. But it's still a consideration for anyone planning to use it as a PC monitor for 12 hours a day. OLED is what happens when display technology finally catches up to its own hype. QLED. LCD wasn't ready to surrender. In 2017, Samsung launched QLED, and it's important to understand, QLED is still an LCD. It's not a new display type. It's an enhancement layer. In a QLED, a blue LED backlight shines through a film containing quantum dots. Larger dots emit pure red, smaller dots emit pure green, and the blue passes through untouched. This creates incredibly pure, vibrant colors and much higher brightness than traditional LCDs, sometimes exceeding 2000 nits. QLEDs excel in bright rooms where OLEDs struggle. They're also immune to burn-in, making them perfect for sports bars, game rooms, or anyone who watches content with static elements. MiniLED. Then came MiniLED, LCD's nuclear option. Instead of a few hundred LEDs, Mini-LED backlights pack thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of microscopic LEDs behind the screen. This creates thousands of independent dimming zones, allowing the TV to approximate OLED's pixel-level contrast. The best modern LCDs combine both Mini-LED backlighting for contrast and quantum dots for color and brightness. Brands like Samsung's Neo QLED and LG's QNED represent LCD technology at its absolute peak, the final form of transmissive displays. MicroLED. Finally, there's MicroLED, the theoretical perfect display. Like OLED, each pixel generates its own light, but using microscopic, inorganic LEDs instead of organic compounds. This gives MicroLED everything. Perfect blacks like OLED, extreme brightness like QLED, wide color gamut, zero burn-in risk, and exceptional energy efficiency. So why don't you own one? A MicroLED TV costs more than a car. Samsung's The Wall starts around $150,000. The manufacturing process requires placing tens of millions of micrometer-scale LEDs with near-perfect precision. For now, it's purely aspirational, a glimpse of what's possible when cost is irrelevant. And there you have it. The evolution of TV screens is a story of relentless innovation punctuated by spectacular failures. We've seen entire technologies rise and fall, each one betting on a different way to make light dance across glass. And judging by history, it's nowhere near finished evolving. Drop a comment and let me know what TV you're rocking. See you in the next video.